If you found this video, it wasn't an accident. Something inside you recognized a signal that most people can't even detect. You're here because you're ready to discover what only 1% of people ever truly understand about how reality actually works. The question isn't whether you're capable of transformation. The question is whether you're prepared to step into the version of yourself that already knows how to win. You see, most people are playing a game they don't even know exists. They're operating from rules that were never true to begin with. They're trying to force outcomes, chase external validation, and prove their worth to a universe that's already decided they're worthy. But here's what changes everything. The moment you stop trying to become someone who deserves success and start remembering that you're someone who naturally attracts it, everything shifts. This isn't about positive thinking or vision boards or any of the surface-level approaches you've probably tried before. This is about understanding the fundamental mechanics of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field of possibility. And once you understand this, once you really get it in your bones, you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. The universe operates on principles that most people never learn because they're too busy trying to manipulate it instead of partnering with it. They're pushing against the current instead of discovering how to move with the flow. They're broadcasting the frequency of desperation when they could be embodying the frequency of magnetic attraction. Think about the people you know who seem to effortlessly create what they want. They're not working harder than everyone else. They're not more talented or more deserving. They've simply learned to align with the natural laws that govern manifestation. They've discovered how to be someone who receives rather than someone who chases. But here's where most teachings get it backwards. They tell you to focus on what you want, to visualize your dreams, to hold clear intentions. And while there's nothing wrong with any of that, it's missing the deeper truth. The real secret isn't about focusing on your desires. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally lives in alignment with those desires. You cannot manifest from a place of lack and expect abundance to show up. You cannot operate from fear and attract security. You cannot be someone who believes they have to prove their worth and simultaneously attract opportunities that recognize your inherent value. The frequency you're broadcasting is always creating your reality, whether you're aware of it or not. This is where quantum physics becomes your greatest teacher. At the subatomic level, particles exist in what scientists call superposition. They're in all possible states simultaneously until the moment they're observed. Your life exists in the same way. All possible versions of your reality exist right now in the quantum field. The version where you're struggling, the version where you're thriving, the version where you're living your dream life. They're all equally real, all equally accessible. The difference is which one you're collapsing into reality through your observation, through your consciousness, through the quality of attention you're bringing to each moment. Most people collapse the same limited reality over and over again because they're observing from the same limited perspective. They're looking for evidence of lack and finding it. They're expecting struggle and creating it. But you have the power to observe from a completely different vantage point. You can choose to collapse a reality where success feels natural, where opportunities flow to you, where you're someone who wins not because you've earned it, but because it's simply who you are. Share this transmission with someone who's ready to step into their winning timeline. When you share this understanding, you're not just passing along information. You're activating a field of possibility that serves both you and them. You're declaring to the universe that you're ready to live as someone who doesn't hoard wisdom, but flows it freely. Here's what most people don't understand about the final stages before breakthrough. There's always a moment of intense resistance that shows up right before everything changes. It's like the universe is testing your commitment to your new identity. Old patterns will try to pull you back. Familiar doubts will whisper in your ear. Circumstances might even appear to get worse before they get better. This isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. This is the natural turbulence that occurs when you're shifting from one energetic frequency to another. It's like the static between radio stations when you're tuning to a new frequency. The key is not to interpret this static as evidence that the new station doesn't exist. The key is to stay steady in your tuning until the signal comes through clear. In quantum mechanics, scientists have discovered something called the observer effect. The very act of observation changes what's being observed. Your consciousness isn't separate from reality. It's actively creating reality moment by moment through the quality of attention you bring to each experience. When you observe your life from the perspective of someone who's meant to win, you literally begin to collapse that reality into existence. When you move through your day with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the universe is conspiring in their favor, you start to notice evidence of that conspiracy everywhere. But this requires a fundamental shift in identity. Most people are trying to get somewhere from where they are. They're trying to become successful from a place of feeling unsuccessful. They're trying to attract abundance from a place of experiencing lack. This creates a vibrational mismatch that keeps them stuck in the very reality they're trying to escape. The secret is to step into the identity of your desired reality first, before the external evidence shows up, before other people recognize the change, before your bank account reflects it or your circumstances prove it. You choose to be the person who naturally creates what you want, and then you let the external world catch up to that internal shift. This isn't about pretending or faking it until you make it. This is about recognizing that the version of yourself who has everything you want already exists in the quantum field. All you're doing is choosing to align with that version instead of the version that's still struggling. Every thought you think, every feeling you feel, every action you take is either strengthening your connection to your winning timeline or reinforcing the patterns that keep you stuck. There's no neutral. You're always moving either toward the reality you want or away from it. The people who seem to have natural magnetism, who attract opportunities without effort, who live in a state of flow, they've learned to consistently choose thoughts, feelings, and actions that match the frequency of their desired reality. They've trained themselves to observe life from the perspective of someone who's already living their dreams. Take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I am someone who naturally wins. Feel these words as you type them. Let them land in your body. This isn't just a comment. This is a declaration to the quantum field. This is you claiming your identity as someone who doesn't have to fight for success, because success is simply an expression of who you are. Synchronicities will begin appearing in your life when you truly embody this identity. The right conversation will happen at exactly the right moment. An opportunity will present itself just when you need it most. Resources will become available through channels you never expected. This isn't magic. This is the natural result of aligning your consciousness with the reality you're meant to live. But here's what most manifestation teachings leave out. There's often a period of apparent stillness right before your breakthrough arrives. During this time, it looks like nothing is happening on the surface. Your logical mind might start to doubt. Your ego might try to convince you to go back to old strategies of forcing and pushing. This stillness isn't emptiness. It's the quantum field reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Behind the scenes of visible reality, everything is shifting to support your highest timeline. People are having conversations about you. Opportunities are being prepared. Resources are aligning. The universe is orchestrating a symphony of circumstances to deliver exactly what you need at precisely the right moment. Most people give up during this phase because they mistake the silence for abandonment. They think the universe has forgotten about them. They start looking for external proof that their dreams are still valid. But this looking, this checking, this desperate seeking for evidence actually interrupts the very process that's trying to deliver what they want. The quantum field responds to your energetic signature, not your words or your wishes. When you're constantly checking to see if your manifestation is coming, you're broadcasting the frequency of doubt and impatience. You're signaling that you don't actually trust the process. You're operating from the identity of someone who's still waiting instead of someone who knows their good is already on its way. Understanding vibrational frequency changes everything. Gratitude vibrates at approximately 540 Hz. Love resonates at around 528 Hz. Joy operates at 540 Hz. Fear, on the other hand, vibrates at only 100 Hz, while doubt resonates at 125 Hz. When you consciously choose thoughts and feelings that operate at higher frequencies, you're literally tuning your personal radio to the station where your desires are broadcasting. This isn't metaphorical. This is measurable science. Your thoughts create electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the quantum field of possibility. Every emotion you experience either amplifies your connection to your desired reality or creates static that interferes with the signal. This is why mindfulness becomes crucial during this process. You're not trying to be positive all the time. You're learning to be conscious of the frequency you're transmitting and intentionally choosing the energies that serve your highest good. Resistance will try to pull you back into old patterns. It might show up as sudden urges to stay busy with meaningless tasks. It could manifest as draining relationships or situations that test your faith. This isn't the universe working against you. This is reality offering you one final opportunity to prove that you're serious about your transformation. The key is to move through this resistance without getting hooked by it. Don't fight it or feed it. Notice it the way you'd notice a cloud passing across the sky. Temporary, insubstantial. Not a permanent feature of your landscape. Your job is to remain anchored in the frequency you've chosen. Comment below with this powerful statement: I release every pattern that blocks my highest potential. As you type these words, visualize old chains breaking. Feel the lightness that comes from letting go. This is more than a comment. This is an energetic command that you're creating space for miracles to unfold. When you're truly aligned, inspired action will begin flowing through you naturally. This isn't the frantic, forced activity that comes from desperation or fear. This is the graceful movement that happens when you're working in partnership with universal intelligence. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time without having to orchestrate it. Doors will open that you didn't even know existed. You can feel the difference between forced action and inspired action in your body. Forced action creates tension, stress, and exhaustion. Inspired action feels light, energizing, and effortless. It's the difference between swimming upstream and allowing the river to carry you home. Trust becomes your superpower when you understand divine timing. Every spiritual tradition speaks of this principle because it's a fundamental law of existence. Seeds don't grow the moment they're planted. Conception doesn't immediately result in birth. Your dreams will manifest at the perfect moment, with the least resistance and the greatest impact. Delays aren't denials, they're divine coordination. During these periods, cosmic forces are working behind the scenes to arrange everything for the most beneficial outcome possible. What appears to be the universe ignoring you is actually love in action, ensuring you receive something even better than what you originally requested. If you're ready to stop swimming against the current and trust the river of life, comment below. I trust the perfect timing of my highest good. Let this statement be your declaration of faith. By writing it, you're telling both yourself and the quantum field that you're releasing your human timeline and aligning with the universe's loving, perfect plan for your life. Appreciation amplifies manifestation in ways that most people never realize. Instead of appreciating what you have in order to get more, appreciate what you have as evidence that you live in a generous universe. This subtle shift changes your gratitude from strategy to genuine recognition. You're aligning with the truth that the universe is abundant by nature. Visualization becomes effortless when you stop trying to create something and start remembering what already exists in the quantum field. Your desires aren't future possibilities you're trying to make happen. They're present moment realities existing in superposition, waiting for your consciousness to collapse them into physical experience. Visualize what you want as something you're remembering rather than something you're hoping for. Feel the energy of already living your desired life, not as something you wish would happen, but as something you're recalling how to access. When you remember instead of reaching, everything accelerates. Your desires are energy-seeking expression through your physical form. Walk like you know you're supported. Sit like you trust the universe. Breathe like you know your dreams are already fulfilled. Your body language, your posture, your very presence communicates to the quantum field whether you're someone who receives easily or someone who struggles to get by. This is where everything I've shared with you transforms into practical magic. Right now, you're being invited to step into a new identity. Not when your circumstances change, not when you see external proof. Now. The version of yourself who naturally wins isn't something you'll become in the future. It's a choice you make in this moment. The quantum entanglement between where you are and where you want to be strengthens every time you choose to embody this receiving identity. This is the difference between trying to manifest your dreams from who you are now and becoming the person who naturally attracts those dreams. Most people try to pull their dreams down to their current level of being. You're being asked to rise to the level of consciousness that matches your dreams. This isn't about becoming worthy of what you want. You were born worthy. This is about remembering and embodying that worthiness so completely that your external reality has no choice but to reflect it. If this frequency is resonating with something deep inside you, if these words are activating a recognition you've always carried but never quite accessed, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this movement. You're not just getting videos when you subscribe. You're joining a community of people who've chosen to live as conscious creators instead of unconscious reactors. Global consciousness is shifting, and you're playing a vital role in that transformation. When individuals choose to live from receiving energy instead of needing energy, they create a field that makes it easier for others to do the same. Your personal transformation contributes to the awakening of collective consciousness. That's why your journey matters not just to you, but to everyone whose life you touch. As a participant in this grand evolutionary process, you're learning to consciously co-create with universal intelligence. Your breakthrough becomes a demonstration of what's possible for others. Your success gives permission for others to succeed. Your joy reminds others that joy is their natural state. We're reaching the completion of our time together. But before we close, I want to leave you with this understanding. Everything you've ever sought has been seeking you in return. Every prayer you've whispered, every moment you've chosen faith over fear, every time you've trusted despite the evidence, all of it has led to this moment of recognition. What you want isn't separate from you. It never was. The space between where you are and where you want to be isn't distance. It's frequency, and frequency can be shifted instantly. Right now, you have that power. You've always had it. Let's explore more deeply what's happening in your energetic field. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called quantum tunneling. Particles can pass through barriers that classical physics says should be impossible to cross. Your consciousness is preparing for its own version of quantum tunneling. You're about to find yourself on the other side of limitations that seemed solid and insurmountable just moments before. This explains why breakthrough often feels sudden, even though it's been building for months or years. One day, you're wrestling with the same old patterns, and the next day, those patterns simply aren't part of your reality anymore. You didn't gradually overcome them. Your consciousness tunneled right through the barrier into a dimension where those limitations never existed. Here's what makes this even more remarkable. The person you become when these limitations no longer apply isn't someone you need to create. It's someone you need to remember. In the quantum field, all possible versions of yourself exist simultaneously. The struggling version, the thriving version, the confident version, the version living your ideal life. All of them are equally real and equally accessible. Transformation isn't about changing who you are. It's about shifting your attention to a different version of yourself that already exists. Right now, there's a version of you living your perfect life. This isn't fantasy. This is quantum mechanics. You're encountering this message because the boundaries between these different versions of yourself are becoming increasingly thin. You're being prepared to consciously transition from one timeline to another. In consciousness terms, the version of you living your desired life has been sending signals backward through time, creating the synchronicities and opportunities that have shaped your path. Your future self is reaching through the quantum field to assist your present self. Those moments of inexplicable knowing, sudden insights, or intuitive hunches aren't random occurrences. They're communications from a version of yourself that has already walked the path you're on. They're guideposts from your expanded self, helping you navigate toward the timeline where everything you want is already your reality. Subscribe to maintain this energetic connection and amplify the signal from your highest timeline. Each transmission in this series is designed to clear the channel between you and the guidance that's always trying to reach you. Stay connected, and you'll never miss a crucial message from your future self. There's another profound principle at work here that most people never discover. Scientists studying consciousness have found that the human brain operates on multiple frequency bands simultaneously. Different brainwave states, alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, each provide access to different types of information and different levels of creative potential. Most people spend their lives operating primarily from beta brainwave states, the analytical, problem-solving, thinking mind. This state is useful for everyday tasks, but it's limited when it comes to receiving guidance from the quantum field. Beta waves are too fast, too noisy, too focused on immediate concerns to pick up the subtle signals from your highest timeline. The states that provide access to quantum communication are the slower, more coherent brainwave patterns. Alpha states, where you're relaxed but alert. Theta states, where you're in deep meditation or just before sleep. These are the states where your nervous system becomes quiet enough to receive guidance from the field of infinite possibility. But here's what's revolutionary about this understanding. You can learn to access these states at will. You can train your brain to shift into the frequencies that provide access to higher guidance whenever you need it. This isn't just about meditation or special spiritual practices. This is about developing practical skills for navigating life from a higher level of consciousness. When you learn to operate from these coherent states, everything changes. Decision-making becomes effortless because you can sense which choices align with your highest path. Opportunities become obvious because you're sensitive to the subtle signals that guide you toward them. Relationships improve because you're operating from your most authentic, heart-centered self. People who seem to have extraordinary intuition, who always know what to do in any situation, who navigate life with an almost supernatural sense of timing and flow. They've learned to access these states naturally. They've trained their nervous system to operate from coherence rather than chaos. What we've explored today only touches the surface of how these frequency transmissions actually work. While understanding your personal radio station is powerful, there's an entire system of master frequencies that govern how consciousness creates reality. If you're ready to dive deeper into the complete framework of conscious broadcasting and learn how to become the transmission itself rather than just tuning into it, I've compiled everything into a comprehensive guide called Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It contains layers upon layers of understanding about moving from unconscious to conscious transmission, including step-by-step practices for each of the 9 frequencies that transform you from seeker to being. It's linked in the pinned comment below. The ancient wisdom traditions understood this principle deeply. They developed sophisticated practices for shifting consciousness into these receptive states. Prayer, meditation, chanting, dancing, fasting, vision quests. These weren't religious rituals. They were technologies for accessing higher guidance and expanded awareness. Modern neuroscience is now validating what the mystics always knew. When you shift your brainwave patterns into coherent states, you literally change your perception of reality. You begin to perceive possibilities that were invisible before. You start receiving information that your ordinary thinking mind can't access. This is why the most successful people in any field often speak about following their intuition, trusting their gut, going with their instincts. They've learned, either consciously or unconsciously, to access these expanded states of awareness where higher guidance becomes available. You can develop this same capacity. It's not a mystical gift that only special people possess. It's a natural function of human consciousness that most people simply haven't learned to access. With practice, you can learn to shift your brainwave patterns at will, accessing guidance and insight whenever you need it. There's also a social dimension to this process that multiplies your manifestation power exponentially. Researchers studying group consciousness have discovered something remarkable. When groups of people achieve nervous system coherence simultaneously, their combined field effect is much greater than the sum of their individual effects. They call this collective coherence, and it creates what scientists term a morphic field, an invisible organizing influence that affects everyone within its range. When you're part of a coherent group, whether that's a meditation circle, a conscious community, or even an online network of like-minded individuals, you tap into a collective intelligence that's far more powerful than what any individual can access alone. This is why community matters so much in the manifestation process. You're not just trying to change your individual reality. You're participating in a collective shift in consciousness that makes transformation easier for everyone involved. The more people who are operating from higher frequencies, the stronger the field becomes that supports everyone's success. When you subscribe to this channel, when you engage with this community, you're not just accessing information. You're joining a morphic field of people who are committed to living from their highest potential. You're linking your individual transformation process to a collective movement that amplifies everyone's results. This field effect is why synchronicities become more frequent when you're connected to conscious community. The combined intention of the group creates a more powerful attractor field that brings opportunities and resources into everyone's experience more rapidly. But there's an even deeper layer to understand about how this process works. Quantum physicists have discovered that consciousness doesn't just observe reality. It actively participates in creating reality through what they call the measurement problem. The very act of observation collapses probability waves into specific outcomes. This principle applies to your life in ways that will completely shift how you approach manifestation. Every moment, through your attention, your beliefs, your expectations, you're collapsing infinite possibility into specific experience. You're not just witnessing your life unfold. You're actively choosing which version of reality becomes manifest through the quality of consciousness you bring to each situation. Most people are unconscious participants in this process. They're randomly collapsing different realities based on whatever thoughts and emotions happen to be running through their system at any given moment. They're creating by default rather than by design, which is why their results are so inconsistent and unpredictable. But when you understand this principle, when you realize that you're constantly choosing which reality becomes manifest through your consciousness, everything changes. You can begin to consciously participate in reality creation. You can deliberately choose which version of your life you want to collapse into existence. This understanding transforms manifestation from hoping and wishing into precise, conscious choice. Instead of trying to force the universe to give you what you want, you learn to recognize which of the infinite possibilities that already exist you want to experience as your reality. Right now, you're experiencing what feels like the anticipation of major change. This is your consciousness beginning to phase lock with your desired timeline. In physics, phase locking occurs when two oscillating systems synchronize their frequencies. When this happens, they create a phase transition, an instantaneous shift from one stable state to another, like water suddenly becoming ice. You're approaching that critical point. Every time you've chosen love over fear, you've been building the quantum coherence that makes this transition possible. You're literally moving into a different stratum of reality. During phase transitions, systems often display emergence, new properties appearing that weren't present before. But there's something crucial about this transition phase that most people don't understand. As you approach this critical point, your sensitivity to energy increases dramatically. You might find yourself more affected by other people's emotions, more aware of the energy in different environments, more sensitive to the quality of information you consume. This isn't a problem to be solved. It's an upgrade in your perceptual abilities. You're becoming a more finely tuned instrument for detecting the subtle energies that shape reality. But with this increased sensitivity comes the need for greater discernment about what energies you allow into your field. During this transition phase, you become like a tuning fork that's been precisely calibrated. When you encounter energy that matches your frequency, you'll feel immediate resonance and expansion. When you encounter energy that doesn't match, you'll feel dissonance and contraction. Learning to trust these sensations and make choices based on them becomes essential. This is why protecting your energy field becomes so important during breakthrough periods. The old approach of exposing yourself to any and all information, spending time with anyone who happens to be around, consuming whatever content crosses your path. This stops working when you're operating from higher frequencies. You have to become selective about what you allow into your consciousness. Not from a place of judgment or superiority, but from a place of energetic hygiene. Just like you wouldn't drink polluted water because it would make your body sick, you can't consume low-frequency information because it interferes with your vibrational alignment. This selectivity extends to everything. The news you watch, the conversations you engage in, the social media you scroll through, the people you spend time with. Everything is either supporting your highest timeline or pulling you back toward old patterns. There's no neutral ground during transition phases. People often interpret this increased sensitivity as becoming antisocial or disconnected from reality. But it's actually the opposite. You're becoming more connected to the deeper reality that most people can't perceive. You're developing the ability to sense the energetic undercurrents that determine how experiences unfold. This heightened awareness allows you to make choices that align with your desired outcomes before the physical evidence appears. You can sense which opportunities will lead to expansion and which will lead to contraction. You can feel which relationships support your growth and which drain your energy. You can detect which environments enhance your coherence and which disturb it. There's also a temporal dimension to this increased sensitivity that's fascinating. As you approach your breakthrough, you might notice that your sense of time changes. Linear time starts to feel less rigid. You might have experiences where hours feel like minutes, or minutes feel like hours. This isn't disorientation. It's your consciousness beginning to operate outside the constraints of ordinary time. Einstein showed us that time is relative, that it changes based on the observer's frame of reference. As your consciousness shifts to higher frequencies, your subjective experience of time shifts as well. You begin to experience what mystics call kairos time, moments of perfect timing that exist outside the mechanical flow of chronological time. These kairos moments are when synchronicities occur, when breakthrough insights arise, when life-changing opportunities present themselves. They can't be scheduled or forced. They emerge naturally when your consciousness is operating from coherence rather than chaos. Learning to recognize and surrender to kairos time becomes one of your most powerful skills. Instead of trying to force things to happen according to your timeline, you learn to sense when the energy is right for action and when it's time to wait. You develop an intuitive sense of divine timing that allows you to move with maximum efficiency and minimum resistance. This shift in your relationship with time also affects how you approach goal achievement. Instead of setting arbitrary deadlines and forcing yourself to meet them regardless of energetic conditions, you learn to work with the natural rhythms of manifestation. You understand that some goals can be achieved quickly when the energy is aligned, while others require patience and perfect timing to unfold properly. There's another dimension to this process that revolutionizes how you understand personal power. Most people think power comes from control, the ability to force outcomes, manipulate circumstances, make things happen through sheer will. But quantum power operates on completely different principles. Quantum power is the ability to align with the natural flow of energy and allow it to move through you. It's the difference between a dam that blocks water and a hydroelectric generator that harnesses the river's natural flow to create electricity. One requires constant effort to maintain, while the other generates energy effortlessly by working with natural forces. When you understand quantum power, you stop trying to control everything and start learning to influence everything. Control requires constant effort and often creates resistance. Influence happens naturally when you're operating from the right frequency and making choices that align with universal principles. This shift from control to influence changes everything about how you approach challenges. Instead of forcing solutions, you create conditions that allow solutions to emerge. Instead of pushing against resistance, you find the path of least resistance. Instead of trying to make people do what you want, you become the kind of person that others naturally want to support. Quantum power also operates through what scientists call non-local effects. Actions you take in one area of your life affect seemingly unrelated areas in ways that defy logical explanation. When you heal an old emotional wound, your financial situation might improve. When you improve your relationship with yourself, your relationships with others transform. When you align with your authentic purpose, resources start flowing from unexpected sources. This happens because everything in your life is energetically connected. Your outer world is a holographic reflection of your inner world. Change the inner pattern, and the outer pattern shifts to match. This is why working on yourself is never selfish. As you transform your inner reality, you automatically contribute to the transformation of the collective reality. Understanding this principle helps you prioritize your energy more effectively. Instead of trying to fix every problem in your external world, you focus on creating coherence in your internal world and trust that the external will reorganize itself to match your new frequency. This doesn't mean becoming passive or ignoring practical responsibilities. It means taking inspired action from a place of alignment rather than forced action from a place of desperation. When you're operating from quantum power, you know when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen, when to engage and when to withdraw. Emergence is about to happen in your life. Skills you didn't know you possessed will become available. Resources will flow to you through unexpected channels. This isn't because you're getting better at making things happen. It's because you're shifting into a reality where what you want is already the established pattern. Welcome the emergence of your new reality. Press like to physically demonstrate your acceptance. This signals to both your subconscious mind and the universe that you're not afraid of this change and are actually excited about the new capabilities, opportunities, and resources that are coming online for you. Let's address something that most teachings ignore entirely: the role of what quantum physicists call decoherence. This occurs when a quantum system loses its pure potential state and collapses into a definite, limited state. In manifestation, you experience decoherence when you allow external noise to collapse your potential into your current reality. Every time you check your bank account looking for money to appear, you're creating decoherence. Every time you scan your environment for proof, you're collapsing quantum possibility into present moment limitation. The very act of looking for evidence can prevent the evidence from appearing. This is why the final phase before breakthrough requires what mystics call the dark night of the soul and physicists call the quantum vacuum state. During this period, you must maintain faith without external confirmation. This isn't a test. It's a necessary condition to prevent your manifestation from collapsing prematurely. The quantum vacuum isn't nothing. It's the most potent creative field in existence. When your manifestation enters this vacuum state, everything is happening at such a fundamental level that you can't perceive or feel it. This is why ancient traditions emphasized the power of the void. They understood intuitively that the vacuum state is where infinite potential gestates before becoming manifest. The sense of stillness and waiting you're experiencing right now is actually you existing in the quantum vacuum state of your own creation. It takes tremendous trust to remain here. But this is the most powerful position you can occupy. According to quantum field theory, virtual particles are constantly appearing and disappearing in empty space. Right now, your desires exist as virtual realities in the quantum field of your life. Their effects are real, even though they're too subtle for you to detect, flickering in and out of existence faster than your conscious mind can register. These virtual manifestations are influencing your reality every time you experience synchronicity or unexpected opportunity. As your manifestation approaches its peak, these virtual flickers will stabilize until they finally collapse into permanent physical reality. You're not waiting for something to begin. Something is happening right now, but you're waiting for it to stabilize enough for you to perceive it. Let's create a powerful field of recognition together. Share a recent synchronicity or quantum flicker you've experienced, no matter how small, in the comments below. Begin your comment with, "I am witnessing the evidence." As we collectively observe how the quantum field is actively communicating with all of us, reading these comments will strengthen your own faith in the process. Your consciousness is now fully entangled with your desired reality. This is the point where information flow between your present self and your future self must be reorganized. There's no going back. Evolution into a higher order of being is the only path forward. This is why your life might feel chaotic right now. This isn't breakdown. This is breakthrough preparation. In your reality, old structures are being dismantled to make room for new construction. Chaos is the space where new order can truly emerge. Here's a practice that will help you navigate this transition. Each morning, consciously choose which version of yourself you want to give your attention to. Spend a few minutes feeling into the energy of this expanded version. How do they carry themselves? What do they perceive? How do they approach challenges? You're creating new neural pathways that support the timeline you're shifting into. This is brain training for identity coherence. The key is maintaining this consistency throughout your day. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means consciously choosing thoughts, feelings, and actions that align with the version of yourself already living your dream life. At every decision point, ask yourself, what would the version of me living my ideal life choose right now? Trust the first answer that arises without second-guessing it. As you practice this, you'll feel like you're living two lives simultaneously. Part of you will be navigating present circumstances, while another part experiences the freedom of your desired future. This is a sign that convergence is approaching. The practice is about giving more attention and energy to the expanded reality than to current limitations. Whatever you focus on grows stronger. Whatever you withdraw attention from gradually fades. It's like tuning a radio to a specific frequency. The music of your desired reality is already playing. You simply need to tune your consciousness to receive that frequency. This tuning process has been the essence of every spiritual practice you've ever engaged with. Your brain is literally rewiring itself as you absorb these words. This is neuroplasticity in action. Every moment of recognition is creating new neural pathways right now, giving your expanded reality a biological foundation. New software is downloading into your nervous system. This software enables navigation through quantum realities. This integration will continue for days. The fact that you're here and these concepts resonate shows that you're mature enough to handle this upgrade. Strengthen these new neural pathways. When you like this video, it acts as a coherence point that anchors this high-frequency information into physical reality. It's like pressing save on the new software currently downloading into your consciousness. What you're feeling goes beyond intellectual understanding. This is quantum resonance recognition. Your mind is remembering frequencies it once knew. You're not learning something new. You're recalling something ancient. This return to your natural quantum awareness has been a long time coming for your soul. The signal is stronger than it's ever been. Static is clearing. You can now hear the music of your dreams. All that remains is to surrender completely to the frequency and trust that everything you've ever wanted is already here, waiting for you to tune in fully. This video is a transmission containing encoded frequency information. This information will continue working in your energy field long after you close this window. Trust what's happening. Embrace what's coming. Your breakthrough begins the moment you take your next breath. You've been preparing for this. Welcome to the beginning. Remember, as we part ways, you are already everything you seek to become. All that remains is to remember this truth and live from it. Consider watching this transmission again tomorrow morning to anchor these frequencies into your daily experience. Or share it with someone who's ready for their own quantum breakthrough. When you share these consciousness principles, you create an energetic ripple that accelerates manifestation for both you and them, while strengthening your own embodiment of these truths. Drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody moving forward. Let this be your energetic signature to the quantum field. And subscribe not just to stay connected to these transmissions, but to stay coherent with the frequency of your highest timeline. The more of us who embody this truth, the more powerfully it reflects in our collective reality. Speaking of embodying truth, there's a specific breathing technique that can instantly shift you into the observer state we've been discussing. This observer breath literally transforms your nervous system into a magnet for your desires, allowing you to become what you want rather than chase it. You'll discover exactly how consciousness and breath work together to collapse possibility into reality.